Every once in a while, a trade happens in the NFL that just makes you scratch your head, right? And this is one of them. The Dallas Cowboys landing Pro Bowl pass rusher Rashan Gary for just a future fourth-round pick? On the surface, it makes no sense at all. But stick with us, because we're going to show you why this completely baffling move might just be an absolute stroke of genius.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. How does this even happen? How does a player, in the prime of his career, a guy who just made the Pro Bowl, get traded for what's basically a day 3 lottery ticket? I mean, on paper, this looks so lopsided, it's not even funny. But, as you'll see, the story behind the trade changes. Well, it changes everything.
All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at two things. First, who exactly is Rashan Gary? And second, what kind of high-stakes game were the Cowboys playing this offseason? Because believe me, this trade didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was the last critical domino to fall in a really, really calculated plan.
And let's be crystal clear here. We're not talking about some fringe player. Rashan Gary was the 12th overall pick in the draft. He's a physical monster with 46.5 career sacks, and he is fresh off a Pro Bowl season. This is a legitimate, game-wrecking player who, by every metric, should have cost a whole lot more.
So here's the crazy part. The Gary trade was actually Dallas's plan B. And you know what? It might be even better than plan A. See, after they traded away Micah Parsons, they were desperate for a pass rusher. They went all out trying to get Max Crosby, but the price was just too high. Plus, they'd already spent a ton of draft capital to bring in the dominant defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams. So they had to pivot, and that pivot led them straight to Rashan Gary for an absolute steal.
So, the big question is, why would Green Bay let a Pro Bowler go for so little? Well, our first major clue is hiding in plain sight. It's Gary's totally bizarre sudden collapse in performance during the 2025 season.
I mean, just look at this chart. The numbers tell a pretty shocking story. For the first 7 weeks of the season, Gary was an absolute animal, on pace for almost 18 sacks. But then, look at the last 10 games. 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss. His production didn't just take a little dip. It fell off a cliff. It completely vanished. So, what on earth happened?
The whole thing turned on a dime because of an injury. In Green Bay, Gary was playing next to the superstar, Micah Parsons. And Parsons, well, he commanded all the attention, all the double teams. That left Gary in what we call a Bravo role, where he could just feast on one-on-one matchups. But then Parsons got hurt, season-ending injury, and suddenly, Gary was the alpha. He was the guy every offense was game planning to stop. And against constant double teams, he just couldn't handle it. His greatest strength was totally neutralized.
Okay, so that explains why Green Bay was willing to move on, right? They had a player who just wasn't suited to be their number 1 guy, but still, a single 4th-round pick? Is that really fair value? Let's take a look at the numbers and what that pick is actually worth.
This chart right here, this shows you the cold, hard reality of the NFL draft. Yeah, almost 60% of first-round D linemen become good starters. But that success rate absolutely plummets. By the time you get to the 4th round, your odds of finding even a quality player, not a star, just a solid contributor, drops all the way down to 8%. Just 8.
You know, every team dreams of finding the next Max Crosby, that 4th-round guy who turns into an all-pro. But that's like catching lightning in a bottle. It's a statistical miracle, it's not a real strategy. The most likely outcome, the expected value for a 4th-round pick, is a guy who might rotate in if you're lucky. So Dallas basically traded a lottery ticket with a very low chance of hitting for a proven, known commodity.
But the value here goes so much deeper than just that. This trade gets exponentially smarter when you look at the new defensive scheme in Dallas. See, they didn't just get a good player. They got the absolute perfect player for their system.
The new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, runs this modern defense built on a really simple idea. You use 2 deep safeties to stop the big plays downfield. But for that to work, your defensive line has to get pressure all by itself, without any help from blitzes. And that puts a ton of pressure on the front 4 to just win their matchups.
And Parker's system needs a very specific body type. He needs huge, powerful defensive ends, guys over 275 pounds who can set a strong edge and just dominate in the run game. Your typical lighter speed rushers, they just get washed out. Well, guess what? Rashan Gary is 6'4", 277 pounds. It's like he was built in a lab to play in this defense.
And this right here, this is where it all just clicks. This is the moment it goes from a good trade to a brilliant one. Dallas didn't just trade for a player who fits their scheme, they built an entire ecosystem around him designed to make him successful.
Hey, remember that big trade for Quinnen Williams?
Well, he's joining a defensive interior that already has three-time Pro Bowler Kenny Clark and the super disruptive Osa Odigizua. This is, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe the most dominant interior D-line in the whole league. These guys are absolute magnets for double teams.
So, we already saw what happened in Green Bay, right? The second Gary was forced to be that alpha, he just couldn't handle the extra attention. He got neutralized.
And here it is. This is the whole ballgame. In Dallas, he never has to be the alpha again. With Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark eating up double teams on the inside, offenses simply don't have enough bodies to send an extra guy's way. Rashan Gary gets to go right back into his perfect Bravo role, facing those one-on-one matchups where he is always dominated.
So when you add it all up, the super low cost to get him, the perfect fitness scheme, the elite talent around him, and this brilliant financial structure, this trade starts to look less like a head-scratcher and a whole lot more like an absolute masterstroke by the Dallas front office.
Oh, and here's the cherry on top, the financials. This is the clincher. The Cowboys took on Gary's contract, but because Green Bay had already paid out all the bonus money, there is, and I'm not kidding, zero guaranteed money left on his deal. It's basically a one-year, low-risk, high-reward, prove-it deal. If it doesn't work out, they can just walk away next year with no financial penalty at all.
Now, his $19.5 million cap hit, that sounds like a big number. But in today's NFL, with the salary cap always rising, it's actually a bargain. It's just over 6% of the Cowboys' total cap space, which is right in line with the market for a high-end number 2 pass rusher.
So let's just lay it all out one last time, side by side. For the exact same price, a future 4th-round pick, Dallas had a choice. They could take a rookie with less than an 8% chance of being a solid player, or they could take a proven Pro Bowler who is a perfect scheme fit with absolutely no future financial risk. I mean, when you see it laid out like this, the logic is just impossible to argue with.
By seeing a great player in the wrong situation, by understanding the true odds of the draft, and by finding that perfect schematic and financial fit, the Cowboys turned what looked like a failure to get their top guy into a potential home run. And it really just leaves you with one question. Was this quiet, under-the-radar move the single smartest trade of the entire offseason?